In today's video, we are going to be talking about some really good news for AEW, just something really positive. They are breaking records. They are making history, whether or not you like or hate AEW. This is actually a story that you're going to want to pay closely attention to because it just shows you how good wrestling really is right now. Also, in addition to that, we have some really big Cesaro updates, and we got to talk about CM Punk. He was missing from Dynamite. It appears he may be taking time off. We're going to talk about it all in today's video. I'm going to give you guys my reactions to the latest wrestling news stories every single day, 7 days a week. And on top of that, we're building an awesome community. So check out the links in the description if you would like to join. Discord, over 300 plus members. We're growing every single day. It's amazing. Let's talk about CM Punk. CM Punk was not on Dynamite. Obviously, people were confused as to why CM Punk wasn't on Dynamite. Now, first and foremost, before we talk about where CM Punk is, can we just talk about how AEW can still achieve pretty damn good viewership without CM Punk? It just goes to show you that maybe CM Punk wasn't necessarily a signing that AEW needed. Obviously, in other KPIs, AEW succeeded by bringing in CM Punk, but it just goes to show you that AEW does not need to be reliant on any one talent, right? So when we talk about Cody Rhodes possibly going to WWE, when we talk about CM Punk not being on AEW Dynamite, it appears that AEW's audience is still willing to watch the product. Now, with that being said, Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter, it came out that CM Punk was not at the tapings, he was not backstage for Dynamite, and the potential reason for this is because he could be taking some time off to be filming season 2 of Heels on Stars. Now, the reason why I want to actually talk about this is because, again, CM Punk not being there shows it's not really a big issue for AEW in terms of interest and viewership and social media. Everybody was still talking about AEW with or without him. But also, CM Punk needs an opponent for Double or Nothing, and we don't exactly know what AEW's plans are for CM Punk for Double or Nothing. Now, if I'm going to just play fantasy booker for a second, you know, there's a lot of things that AEW could be building with CM Punk, and obviously I think it is inevitable that he will become a world champion in AEW at some point. Now, whether that's CM Punk versus Hangman Page, CM Punk versus Adam Cole, I'm not really sure. Now, if you need to book some sort of storyline with CM Punk, Double or Nothing is taking place in May. It's March 18th. There's definitely a lot of time left. I would suggest maybe somehow, some way, CM Punk can get involved with the Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson storyline. Now, again, plain fantasy booker here. Everything is a fantasy for a reason when you're fantasy booking, but I like the idea of maybe CM Punk getting involved in this storyline, whether it's to fight alongside them or to even fight against them. There's just a lot of opportunities here for AEW to have their biggest names in the mix altogether. It's just something I would consider. Plus, you don't really need to have like 6 months worth of storytelling here. You just need a program for Double or Nothing that gets all of these guys in the ring. And I feel like AEW should be able to make it meaningful because they are the biggest names. It would be kind of random, but I think it could still be pulled off correctly. I do want to talk a little bit about Antonio Cesaro. You guys remember him? Well, WWE changed his name from Antonio Cesaro to Cesaro. And look, they didn't sign him again, right? He didn't re-sign. They didn't re-sign. There was a whole bunch of, chitter chatter back and forth. They just couldn't come to an agreement. We've been following the story pretty closely. Before, we were talking about the rumors of Cesaro possibly going to AEW. And that was largely due to Tony Khan speaking very positively about Cesaro as well. Now, Cesaro is in a very interesting situation because the last update we gave you, we were talking about Sheamus, who mentioned in an interview that Cesaro's been he built a new gym at his house and he's working out, getting in ring shape, all these different things. Well, I wanna bring this to your attention. I thought this was really interesting. So, according to the USPTO, Cesaro intends to use the image for entertainment in the nature of wrestling contests, as well as select items for merchandise and coffee. Now, if you guys remember, Cesaro actually used to have a logo, and I'm unable to put this on the screen right now, but he used to have the logo CSRO with the icon in the circle, right? Or in the O, in the letter O. Now, basically, this trademark that he has filed, coffee beans, coffee drinks, ground coffee beans, hats, shirts, socks, sweatshirts, hooded sweatshirts. Now, this is a very interesting thing because we don't know exactly if Cesaro will be wrestling or not. But what we do know is that by filing for this trademark, Cesaro does plan on sticking around and using this likeness somehow, some way. And obviously, as indicated by the trademark filing, it appears that maybe Cesaro could be getting into the coffee business. Now, look, the Swiss Superman is very, very talented. Very, very talented. Also, you know, I see a lot of times people mention age and all this stuff. I don't know if, I think Cesaro's around 41 years old, if I remember correctly. He's around there. Age is just a number. This guy takes care of himself. He's super fit. He takes care of himself nutritionally and physically and mentally and all these different things. This guy could wrestle. We know that. Now, Cesaro chooses to go into the coffee business, the merchandising business, and using this likeness. I would think that is a very, very interesting post-WWE business model. But if there's anybody who I think can pull it off, it is Cesaro. Cesaro is immensely popular with not only the WWE universe, but he's also very popular with the pro wrestling hardcore audience, the internet wrestling community, whatever it may be. I like the idea of Cesaro sticking around post WWE. You know, sometimes, like, for example, Fandango has left WWE, he got released, and he's on Control Your Narrative, he's in NWA, but like, nobody talks about him. You know, Tyler Breeze left WWE and he's still doing a lot of stuff with the internet, but like in terms of wrestling, and obviously he has his wrestling school and whatnot, but it's not like he's showing up in NWA or AEW or Impact or ROH or something like that. So I don't want Cesaro to be another guy that just leaves WWE and then goes off to like do these business ventures without being wrestling. And that is just because as a fan, I am selfishly saying I like Cesaro. I like Tyler Breeze. I like Fandango. Like, I liked all of these guys and I wanted to see them on TV used in a different way. You know what I mean? So as a fan, I think Cesaro will do very well. I'm just curious to see what actually happens here. And I hope we see him on TV at some point. I don't care what company it is, but he is worthy of a world championship belt. All right, guys, AEW has broken some really big records, Double or Nothing. This is amazing. So per Dave Meltzer in the latest edition of Wrestling Observer newsletter, 12,939 tickets have been sold for the upcoming Double or Nothing pay-per-view set for May 29th of 2022. Now, this is for a total of $1,145,000, okay? Now, the only time that a company other than WWE has been able to do this was the 2019 New Japan Pro Wrestling ROH G1 Supercard at MSG. Which, by the way, that was a complete and utter failure. That got a lot of people talking for the wrong reasons. But it is what it is. AEW has officially drawn the largest gate record in North America for any promotion other than WWE. The previous non-WWE record was 1.1 million. And that was the NJPW show. The only other $1 million gate was for Atlantis vs. Ultimo Guerrero Mask vs. Mask at the 2014 CMLL anniversary show at Arena, Mexico. So just for context, the reason why I'm bringing this up, why is this record a big deal? Well, one, AEW is, if you buy tickets from AEW, first of all, they're pretty inexpensive compared to other promotions. But this just goes to show you, people have a want and need for pro wrestling. I see this argument on social media. I see this argument in my comments. Outside of the IWC, nobody cares about pro wrestling. I don't believe that. I think there is people who want pro wrestling. People are watching pro wrestling. If you look at the ratings, just because it says 990,000 people does not mean 990,000 people actually showed up to watch Dynamite. Just like if Raw has 1.7 million, obviously more people were watching Raw. So wrestling is very, very good right now across the board. Whether you like, hate any of these companies, you just have to live with the fact that these companies are thriving, and this is a beautiful achievement by AEW. It should definitely be achieved. It should definitely be celebrated for what they have achieved, and I greatly think that like this is an awesome thing. Like, breaking records is huge. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you next time.